Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm your Kennywood fanatic and I hope you all are having a wonderful day and a wonderful week. I know I am. Some parks have a less than ideal coaster lineup. For example, Six Flags America, may you rest in peace, having rides like Firebird and Roar, which are not the best rides. And then other parks have amazing lineups like Hershey Park, which have an Airtime Machine and Wildcats Revenge, have two great hypers in Sky Rush and Candemonium, and have an amazing phenomenal launch coaster in Storm Runner. Today, I'm taking inspiration from Hershey Park, and I'm going to build a park with my ideal coaster lineup. I'll explain the rules after the intro, but for now, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, here are the rules. We're only allowed one coaster of each type unless said otherwise, and it has to be one of the 99 coasters on my credit list. The coaster types we will have is a multi-launch, a looper, an invert, a woodie, a classic. I will say the classic coaster is also allowed to be wooden. I'm just saying that now. Two family coasters, one's going to be a kiddie coaster, one's going to be good for bigger kids, and then one miscellaneous ride. For my multi-launch, I am going to pick Velocicoaster. This is such a complete ride. Now, I will say I almost picked Stardust Racers, but then I talked myself out of it. Stardust Racers may or may not be my new number one, though. I don't know. We don't know yet. But I was going to pick Stardust, but then I realized, well, it's two separate coasters. If I wanted to pick Stardust, it would have to be only one of the sides. So I went with Velocicoaster, which I think is a great standalone attraction. We get all the theming with it, I will say. We keep all the theming with Velocicoaster. We get the coaster as it is in its current park. So if it has theming, great. We get its station, we get all that. Velocicoaster is such a complete ride. The first half is very tight and whippy, and then the second half is just bang, intensity right in your face. And it's such a good freaking ride that I cannot pass up on it for my ideal coaster lineup. For my looper, I'm going to take Firebird. That doesn't sound right. Let me check my script real quick. No, it should be Steel Curtain. For my looper, I'm going with Steel Curtain. I feel like I have to here. It is such a pure fun ride. Whenever it's running fast, which is on a hot summer day in the rain, it tears through that layout. And whenever it's running slow, like on a cold spring morning, the hang time is unmatched. Also, who's not going to want to ride a 220-foot tall looping coaster? Like, it is just such an intimidating ride and such an interesting looking ride that you want to get out there. You want to ride it. Not just because it's a good ride, but because of its interesting looks. It is such a good ride, and that is why it's on my ideal coasters list. For my invert, I just gotta go with Alpengeist. Alpengeist is such a good ride. I love it to death. It's my favorite invert by far. My only two rides on it were in the back row on a rainy day, and it was hauling surprisingly. The Cobra roll was super whippy, and every other element was just super forceful. And I really didn't think that the trim brakes impacted it too much, like I heard. It was such a good ride. I totally recommend it. And it's also eye-catching. If you have an invert at your park, you want it to be unique or marketable. And having the world's tallest inverted coaster, that's like peak marketing right there. Woodie, looking at it right now, I guess I could have this is my classic, but I'm too lazy to change it. If you get confused, understand why it's on the sick. It's one of the it's literally staying there. That racer sign, the sign that says sticking up, they should put that on this, except it's going to be impossible to actually follow that. You're not going to be the one standing right. You're not going to be the one yourself. You guys For my classic, yes, I'm going with Thunderbolt. It's a good ride, fun ride. Whenever I think of Kennywood, it's one of the first rides I think of. And what amusement park is more classic than Kennywood? I personally can't think of one. I know Cedar Point and Lake Compounce might have more history, but Kennywood just has that classic American feel, and Thunderbolt gives classic American wood coaster. For my first family coaster, which is actually my kiddie coaster, I'm going with Snoopy's Soapbox Racers. I bet you couldn't tell that's what I was going for based off this footage. Anyways, I'm picking this because I don't like the family coasters and the kiddie coasters that are like literally just a circle. I know that kids can handle more than that, and also this gives the park something going backwards too. And this is a really smooth and fun ride. For my second family coaster, for the family coaster for bigger kids, I'm going with Big Bear Mountain. Now, I was between three coasters for this. It was between Big Bear Mountain, obviously, Verbolten at Busch Gardens, and Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure in the Lost Forbidden Forest. I don't even know the name anymore. It's Hagrid's. But I went with Big Bear Mountain just because Verbolten and Hagrid's have drop tracks, and at least Hagrid's has a backward section too, and I think that might be a little off-putting to some kids and some families. Big Bear Mountain has, yes, forceful launches and has some good positive G-forces, but it's nothing too insane or too crazy. Plus, it's a really smooth ride, and every member of the family from like 5 years old to 90 years old can enjoy this ride. And for my miscellaneous coaster, I'm going with Phantom's Revenge. Yes, I have an airtime machine in Phoenix, but I don't really feel like I have a speed machine. Yes, I have 2 launch coasters, but speed isn't really their main focus. I feel like with Phantom, the main focus is that speed right after that first drop and going down that second drop. And also the airtime finale is great, but I feel like I need a speed machine in this park. Phantom is a perfect ride from start to finish. It never leaves anyone disappointed, at least in my experience. Everyone who gets off of it satisfied. That's what she said. Anyways, it's a really freaking good ride. The airtime is insane, and the speed is unmatched. Well, I mean, it is matched. I've ridden Top Thrill too, but you know what I mean. Okay, so just to recap, for my multi-launch, I'm going with Velocicoaster. For my looper, I'm going with Steel Curtain. For my invert, it's Alpengeist. For my woodie, it's Phoenix Econobles. For my classic coaster, it's Thunderbolt. For my 2 family coasters, I'm going with Snoopy Soapbox Racers and Big Bear Mountain. And for my miscellaneous coaster, I'm going with Phantom's Revenge. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What would your ideal coaster list look like based on your credit list? If you enjoyed today's video, please feel free to leave a like. And if you check out some of my other content and you happen to like that, maybe feel free to subscribe. It is completely free to you. Anyways, as always, when the train comes to a complete and final stop, please exit safely to your right and have a great rest of your day here at Kennywood Park.